I hope everybody is there. Just let me know if you can see the screen and hear my voice, guys. Yes, okay. Fine, thank you. In From today onwards, we'll be seeing for another 1 or 2 weeks. We are going to only focus on one language, guys. Okay, it's not about web technology. The first unit is entirely about just C sharp. So what we are going to see here is in today's class, I'm just going to give you an introduction into C sharp as a programming language. And our entire target today is to understand hello world in C sharp. Okay. I am going to take a comparison from Java so that we follow C sharp better. Before we begin, there are a few things. One is that this is a Microsoft owned language. Okay, the creators and the developers, the community, the entire thing is supported directly by Microsoft. Now, what about Visual Basic? If you ask, VB was not created by Microsoft, it was acquired by Microsoft. I hope you can follow. Now, apart from C sharp, there are new languages brought up by Microsoft, like F sharp, and it goes on that they're trying to create a simpler language as it goes, but that at that time C sharp was much simpler compared to whatever programming languages we had. Okay, why? Because the first advantage is .NET framework, as you know. The second advantage is one IDE which controls everything, Visual Studio. So all these things together made C sharp as a very attractive as well as powerful language. Okay, we'll just see about them quickly. This entire programming language will be taken into small sections. We'll just see what are the goals of C sharp, a little bit of that, how it came, and hello world, and syntax and features and type system. Okay, so the first thing is goals. Why was C sharp created? First of all, that's a big question which everybody has, because there are a lot of languages already available, and .NET was not bothered about languages as such, but then they wanted to give a language which is easy for people to pick up and use that one language to develop a lot of things. Okay, this is for people who would like to learn something and then create dynamic applications with that. Okay, so the first goal was it's to create a simple general purpose object oriented language. Okay, please remember that when C sharp was released, Java was already in place, and it was already a famous language. Okay, so they just wanted to give out a simple general purpose object oriented programming language, and they wanted to keep the robustness of your software as well as the productivity of the programmer. Okay, when I say productivity of the programmer, there are a list of things which I have put below that. Type checking, array bounds, detection of uninitialized variables, source code, portability, automatic garbage collection. All these features were a problem with the programmer earlier. Okay, they had to write code manually to get all these things done, but then C sharp took care of it without the programmer being involved in it. So programmer productivity, the robustness of the software, etc., will go high. That's the idea. All right, and it is used in creating software components. Okay, I'll repeat that word, component. Okay, when I say component, it means just like how I described the object-oriented programming the other day. I think last class we dragged and dropped a control from the toolbox onto the form, and each control in the toolbox was called as a component. Okay, so C sharp is helping you to create a lot of components which people can reuse in different types of applications. We'll be doing all those things. Remember that. And it's ease of learning. Okay, it is easy to learn for people who have already understood C, C++, and Java. It's not like something new. It's not like you're totally learning some languages. It's not at all in the picture of how you have learned other languages. Okay, that's the idea. So that those who are familiar with C++ and Java can easily pick up C sharp. That was one of the main goals, and it is used for embedded systems as well as large programming systems. Okay, the reason why those two words are put is, number one, embedded system is the lowest level of writing a code. Embedded systems, I hope you know what I'm talking about, like our projector, the washing machine, the fridge which has electrical command. Those are commands which are fixed in that. Okay, there is a little bit of programming, but it is not like you can go and change it tomorrow. Okay, so it's embedded programming. That's the lowest level, and C was very much sought after for that. Then came Java. Now it is C sharp. It's like they've given that kind of flexibility for people who have been developing embedded systems, and large system programming means enterprise level applications. Okay, those things. Everything can be done with C sharp. That's the idea, and it is it is having strong performance, but it is not intended to compete with C or assembly level language. Okay, it's not that intention. The intention is to give programmers a wide variety of applications using one language. That's the intention. Now, a little bit about C Sharp. It came from Microsoft. It actually started in 2000, but then the public release was given for 2002. When I say public release, anybody can download and start using. Before, it was only for developers from 2000. 2002 it came, and it is from Microsoft as a response to Java. Okay, and the language, the name is not the C hash. Okay, it is a musical note which is C sharp. Okay, I hope most of you have seen that keyboard which has white keys and the black keys on the top. Okay, the black keys on the top, there are pairs like 2 and 3 pairs. The first pair which you see where there are two, the first black key of that two keys there, that key is called C sharp because the note below that is C, the note above C is C sharp. That is the musical note. A step above C, C++, and Java. That's not told to them, but just the name is kept like that. Okay, it's a step above all these languages. That's the idea. That's why it's called C sharp. Okay, it cannot be called C hash. It totally makes the meaning different. All right, so it's a musical note. Remember that. And the designers' names are not important, just like how you know your Java developers' names. Okay, same thing. C Sharp standardized via ISMA and ISO. It's standardized, which means anybody can use it. Okay, and it is general purpose right now, but Microsoft retains the architectural control. Key features. All right, what are the features of C Sharp? Whatever you have learned in Java, I can say that same features will apply here. It is simple, it's modern, it's object-oriented programming language. It is derived from C++ and Java. So it is like people who already come across these two languages, it's nothing new for you. All right, and it aims, this is very important, guys. This aims to combine the high productivity of Visual Basic. Okay, what is the productivity of Visual Basic is, if you see yesterday, I showed you that way of designing visually. Okay, at that time, what happens is when you drag and drop and you can start writing code, the dragging and dropping part is actually code, but you are not bothered about it because you are focused on giving the design, not the code behind it. Okay, so it increases your productivity because you need to only focus on logic if you want coding. Okay, coding totally takes the logic part, but design part does not require coding at all because any kid can do drag and drop and create a design however you want, however you like. Okay, designs are not difficult. So that was the high productivity of Visual Basic. That's why Visual Basic was so famous. Drag and drop, visually you create it, double click and then write only what you require. So it combines that productivity with the raw power of C, C++, and it provides all the features which are given for or from Microsoft .NET platform. Okay, remember that. It's very important to know that. It's the idea, it's the aim, which it has achieved it also. What are the things you can develop with this one language? Okay, C Sharp can develop mobile, desktop, web application, web services, websites, games, virtual reality applications, IoT, database, much more. A lot of things have been focused on one language. Okay, now one more thing, as I showed in the last class, Xamarin. Okay, if you learn C Sharp with that one language, we can also develop mobile applications, which is platform independent. Okay, so these are some of the key features of why we should learn this particular language. Okay, now when I say learn, please don't think that I'm going to start from the scratch. We are just going to understand what we already know to apply it into C Sharp. That's all. As it is close to C, C++, and Java, it makes for programmers to switch to C Sharp immediately. That's what I'm trying to do in this entire class. I just want you to get a feel of how C Sharp is structured. That's all. Or vice versa. If you are learning first time C Sharp, the remaining languages will not be that difficult for you because it's somewhat similar. Okay, this is the key features. This is the hello world. Now, I'm just going to take a few minutes to explain all these keywords which are available in this hello world. I want you to just have a close look into it and tell me whether you find something similar to Java. Okay, you see that almost everything is somewhat like Java, but there are different words and the structure is a little bit more different, but basically same. Okay, I'll tell you how they are, but then just have a glance of this program. This is just a hello world in C Sharp. I'll be breaking this program into small pieces and then we will take one by one. Okay, I just want you to notice some keywords, starting with the first keyword, using. All right. What would we use in Java? In the same place where you see the word using, what did we use it in Java? What would you call it? Import. Perfect. Okay, so you understand the concept, right? Import is just replaced with a word called using. That's all. All right. Now, there's another keyword I wanted to just note down. I'll explain those keywords one by one in the next slides. But I wanted to just look at the program and keywords. One, namespace. Okay, the first keyword is using. Second keyword is namespace. Third keyword is class, which is something not new to you. Static. Then I think that's enough. Static, void main. Okay, all these things are same what we have already come across. Now with this, let me go to the explanation. But then I wanted to see this code. Let's see where we can find the similarity between Java and here. Okay, let's ignore the first three lines. Start from the word class. Class, some name, within brackets. Normally we write public static void main. Okay, here instead of public static, they've just put static void main. Okay, there is a reason. I'll talk about access specifiers a little bit later. But in Java, it is compulsory for you to put public static void main. Here, it is not. Okay, there is a reason. We'll see that in access specifiers. But then remember the word static void main. Okay, do you find any difference between those three words in Java and here? Is there any difference? Static, void, main. Don't bother about the what is it in the bracket. But do you find any difference between static, void, main in Java as well as in C Sharp? No? Okay, fine. What about the bracket? What about the data which is there within brackets? Is there any difference or is it the same? String? What is the difference? It's also string, no? Lowercase. Okay. Fine. Please note that I'll be talking a little bit more about string in C Sharp also in a separate class, but it is important. Okay. It is a class. That's right. I said I'll talk about string a little bit later, but then here string, when you see in small letter, can act like a variable. When you put capital letter, it can act like a class, but both of them point to the same place. So it doesn't matter if you write capital S or small s, it's only for your understanding. Okay, so here it is called like a data type. So it is put in small letter. That is not allowed in Java. In Java, capital S is the only way to write string. C Sharp, both are allowed. Okay, I'll go into that a little bit later, but then arguments. Okay, so then within brackets, instead of writing system.out.println, here, basically, system is already being used on the top. So system is already available, console.writeLine. Okay, so and you put within brackets, same logic as how Java goes. So let me go through one by one. Can I move on to the next slide? I'll just go to one by one. I just wanted to remember this is the hello world. It will automatically be created as soon as you create a new project. Okay. So anyway, let me continue. Let's start with the first one, namespaces in C Sharp. Okay. Now, those who have already worked with Java will easily follow what is namespace in C Sharp by just remembering one word called packages. Okay, if you have come across a word called package, that same concept is there in C Sharp, but the name is namespace. Okay, a namespace in C++ or C Sharp is a way to group functionality into packages. Okay, now most of you would know that in Java also we have a lot of packages. For example, in Android we created a package. In other words, we call it as the domain name like home.example. Whatever project name you kept, that was actually a package name in Java. But in C Sharp, you would call it as namespaces. That's all. All right. Basically, what is a package? A package is a folder in real world. Okay. It's a technical word for Java developers to understand. It's grouped into one place. But in real world, you can't call it as grouped into a package. In operating system, you call it as folders. That's all. All right, so it's a way of grouping functionality into packages. I've highlighted that because that's the keyword what we use in Java. Here we use namespace. Okay, a class in a namespace can be accessed using the dot operator. It's very simple to understand because if you have already worked with in Java, you have set imports Java dot. Okay, you say Java dot, then you call something SQL dot star or util dot star or whatever it is. When you call dot, you access everything inside that folder. Okay, so if I say Java dot, you'll get a lot of things inside that. If I say util dot, again inside that package, whatever is there, you will get the list and you can choose them. So you can access them using the dot operator, just like how you have done in Java. Okay, they are a way in which C# segregates the libraries into reasonable groupings, just like Java again. All right, so in Java, what do you do? Java dot util dot something, Java dot math dot something, Java dot SQL dot. What is that? SQL, math. All these are related stuff. So all related to math operations are put inside a folder called math, which is kept inside another folder called Java. So java.math.sqrt or something like that you can call. Now what about scanner? Scanner is a class which is inside utilities package, which is in turn inside a Java package. So Java is a folder. Inside that I have utilities folder. In utilities I have a class called as scanner. Same way C# also groups based on what do you call the type or the nature of operation they do. Okay, they segregate them into reasonable groupings. All right. And how do you call a package? Okay, so in Java, you use the word package and then you write the package name. In other words, folder name. Here, you engulf it inside that name. I hope you would have seen the previous slide where I wrote namespace, some name, within brackets, the entire thing is put inside. So in Java, we write the word package on the top, one line, we finish it off. But here we engulf the entire program inside that namespace, one. And if you have created a namespace somewhere else, you will import it using import namespace. That's all. That's what we had done. I'll show that shortly, guys, in the IDE itself. But remember this. Once a namespace is imported, we can use the elements of that namespace without using the namespace as a prefix. That's what I showed you in the previous slide. I said using system. That's why when I wrote console.writeline, I didn't write system.console.writeline. I just wrote console.writeline because namespace has already been imported into my class. All right, that's it. This is namespaces in C#. Second thing, classes. All right, this is not going to be different from Java and C#. It is exactly the same. What is a class? You already know it's like an object constructor or a blueprint for creating an object. That is what I explained in the last class. Okay, it's a container for data and methods and events and properties and stuff. Okay, which brings functionality to your program. And here, the word class program, what you saw. Okay, if you remember the rules of Java, there is one rule which says that if you have to name the file as the file name is equal to class name, which has the main method. Same rule applies here also. Okay, so here we say class program, which means you can automatically assume or understand what will be the file name. The file name would be program.cs because the class name is class program. It declares a class, which is an object-oriented construct, which you already know. Okay, since C# is an object-oriented programming language, everything must be placed inside a class. Again, I'm repeating the rule of Java here. Everything should be inside a class. Now, it is a block structured language. Okay, please understand the difference. Why I'm saying block structured language is, for example, Python VB. These are not block structured. Okay, which means they depend on the indentation and the keywords to start and end a particular structure. Okay, like for example, I think most of you would have done VB. Okay, if you're in Python, you don't have a end structure in normal Python, but in Django, if you see that the template, when you write a template, you need to write if and end if. Okay, so where it stops, you need to tell that. That is the way in which you say where it starts and where it ends. But when it comes to C#, you say brackets. Okay, which means I can write this entire program in one line, just like how Java worked. Okay, you can write the entire program in one line and it will compile and run because it only looks for the brackets, not indentations. Indentations are for your understanding, not for the computer's understanding. But in case of Python, you can't tell that. That's not a block structured language. It's an indentation based language because based on indentation, it understands everything else. So understand the difference, the block structured and the normal ones. Here, they are enclosed by braces. They indicate the starting and the ending of a block. All right, that's a class. What about method? Did you find any method inside the hello world what we have written? Yes, we have. We had namespace, we had a class, we have a method inside that. Namespace was the project name, class was program, and method was main. Okay, there might be 100 methods in a class, but only one main method. Okay, remember that. And method is a block of code which runs only when it is called. Okay, that you already know. Main method runs as the entry point of your program. So as soon as you run a program, main method will be called. Remaining methods will be only called if main method thinks so or calls so. Okay. The main method, it has some keywords there. It defines a method called main. Okay, every C# program which you write with respect to console and desktop must include a main method in one of the classes. One of the classes at least, because there should be an entry point. Okay, and that is the starting point for the execution of the program. That's the technical word. All right, and a C# program can have any number of classes, but only one class with the main method. I hope you can see that I'm repeating stuff which I've already told in Java. Same thing. The hello world what we have written, public, static, void. Okay, exactly the same. I mean, if you don't put the word public also, it's fine. But if you put public, it's available for every part of the program to use. Here, if you remember, I'll just tell a small introduction to this. I'll take it in detail later. But then remember, access specifier. You know what's an access specifier or access modifier, like private, protected, public. Okay, in Java, if you don't mention something, like for example, if you don't mention something in front of a method, by default it takes the access specifier called default. Okay, I hope you know this. All right, so that is the default thing which takes up in Java. But when it comes to C# works in a little bit different way. Whatever you do not mention as if you don't mention an access specifier, by default it assumes it's an internal project. Okay, I hope you can follow. In Java, you are not expecting many languages to come together. In C#, I'm expecting many languages to come together if you want, which means this assembly, the one which I am creating in C#, can be assembled with some other assembly somebody wrote in VB also. In that case, if you do not mention public, something which is available in C# will not be available to VB by default. But if you want something only available within that particular class, make it private. That's all. Okay, protected, public, everything works the same way here in C# also. But I have put the word public if it is an access modifier that tells C# compiler that main method is accessible by anyone. If you don't mention public, within that project, anybody can access the main method. In other words, that project can run on its own, but it cannot call anybody from outside, or this project cannot be called by somebody from outside. That's the idea I didn't put that in the code, but I'm just telling you, if you put public, what would happen? Second one, static. Why do we put static in Java? Same reason. Okay, the main method is going to be a global one, and it can be called without creating an instance of a class. Static keyword in front of a method normally indicates that you can call that method without creating an object. But object-oriented programming rule is that you cannot call a method without creating an object. Static will just bypass it. So that's why we are doing it, because we have not even entered the program to create an object. So static would bypass that, okay, without creating an instance. Void, I hope I did not explain that. It just says the main method does not return any value. That's simple as that. Okay, now print out. This statement, what you have seen, okay, I'll just repeat it once again. It's system.console.writeLine. Okay, in Java, it's a little bit more complicated to understand the system and the out inside the system. If you remember, I showed in the last semester. But in this semester, what we would do is we will take C#, right? So it's easy to understand what these three words mean. In Java, I would write system.out.println. Okay, here the same thing has been changed into system.console.writeLine. Now, if you notice here, there are three words there. And by looking at this, just looking at this line, can you tell me what each mean? Okay, so far we have discussed all these three things. Can you just tell me what is write line? What do you think write line is? I'm talking about a general, what do you call the name? What would you name it? It's a method. Perfect. Can you be a little bit more specific? Method is a correct answer, guys, but then I'm looking for something little bit more. Printing method. No. I'm talking technically. Printing method, anybody can understand by the word of it. My question is, it's a method. Okay. In object-oriented programming, you cannot call a method like that. Perfect. Static method. Okay. Please remember that. Right line is a static method. Property. No. Property means name value pair, right? Okay, so method inside a class console. Perfect. Okay, so method, but specifically I'm looking for the word static method because you did not create an object. You directly called it from the class, that method. So what is console then? What is console? Class. Perfect. Okay, so right line is a method, which means console is a class. What do you think system is? No. That's Java. Perfect. Namespace. Okay. I just told the package for your understanding, guys. Never use the word here. Okay. In C sharp, you cannot call it as package. It is called as namespace. Okay. So system is a namespace. That's why we wrote the word using system because you can import it. So since C sharp is a pure object-oriented programming language, every method should be a part of an object. That is clear to you. Right line method is this entire line will tell whatever I just asked you. The right line method is a static method of the console class, which is located in the namespace called system. I hope this line is clear. Okay, so right line is a static method console class, which is inside a namespace called system. Let me tell it in layman's term. There is a folder called system. Inside that folder, there is a class called console, a class file called console. Inside that console file, class file, there is a small method written called writeLine, which is a static method. That's all. Okay, that's something. And some things about the syntax of C sharp. I think this will be repeating as how you saw in Java. One, case sensitive. Guys, be very clear about it. VB, it doesn't matter because ID will automatically change the case to whatever you write. Okay, VB, we don't care much about case, but when it comes to C sharp, it is very case sensitive. Number one. Number two, every statement must end with a semicolon. Those who have worked with VB and Python would find it little bit different, okay, because we don't use semicolon there. But here, it's just like Java. Every statement ends with a semicolon. Okay, so and one more, curly braces. You know, it encloses code blocks. White space has no meaning here. Okay, if you just give lots of space in between the first line and the second line, doesn't matter because compiler will ignore all your white space because it doesn't have any meaning. The white space and the indentation, all those things are your preference. Okay, it does not have any meaning here. ID will anyway format your code. Don't worry about it. Okay, the format is for you to understand, not for the computers to understand. Comments, same way like how we have written in Java. Single line is slash star star slash, and sorry, multi-line. Single line is slash slash. Same thing. Okay. Now, before I go to Visual Studio, how do you execute a program, okay, without a Visual Studio, right? So in Java, how we do, we wrote a program in .java. You compile it, okay. You write the word Java C space file name .java. You would get hello.class. Okay, and with that class, you will run. You should run it. You will run it as Java space class name. Class name is hello. So you just give hello. That's it. This is the syntax for Java. What about C sharp? Okay, in C sharp, you write a file with the .cs as extension. All right, hello.cs. Imagine if you have written it. How will I compile it? Okay, please note, we are going to use IDE, which means you just need to click the play button and it will run and you'll get the output. But then if you do not have Visual Studio, how do you still run or compile and run your program? You can still write C sharp compiler, which is CSC. That's a exe file which is inside .NET framework. Okay, I'll show you in the later class. But then remember, CSC is C sharp compiler space filename.cs. That's it. What would you get as the output? Any guesses? If I compile a C sharp file right now, example is hello.cs. What would I get as the output? Like in Java, I got hello.class. But when it comes to C sharp, if I compile that hello.cs, what would be the output file's name? Name, just correct. CIL is the correct answer, but I'm looking for an output file's name. Elrina, it's right. Could you be more specific? Yeah, right. It will be hello.exe. That's it. Okay, so once you compile it, you will get hello.exe. Now, bigger question. How do I execute this program in Windows? Okay, should I write C sharp and then write hello? Nothing is required. Okay, you just need to call that file name. You just double click on it, it'll run. Or in the command prompt, just call that file name without even putting exe. It'll still understand because exe is the native extension of your Windows. So you need not specifically tell to put .exe after that word. Just like how you didn't say dot class after putting the file name there, because JVM understands it can only execute class file. You need not specifically mention dot class. Same thing here in C sharp also. So with this, I'll stop for today's class in presentation, but let me just show you whatever I just told right now in Visual Studio 2019. Okay. I hope you can see this is Visual Studio 2019. In the last class, I had used 2017 to explain the programs, but here I've used 2019. All right, so here I'm just going to create a new project. Please note these are the things which are available here. If time permits, towards the end of the semester, we'll be working with GitHub. Okay, let's start working with GitHub. So that time you'll understand all these other things, the first and second one. Okay, but let's start with the new project. So the last line you have here, create a new project. This is Visual Studio 2019. It's a little bit different than 2017. Okay, so let me just click on create a new project. I'll get a different structure, like not like how I got in the previous Visual 2017. Okay, here you see that you can search for a template. As I've used the word there, here it's the same thing, template. Okay, so you can see which language are you bothered about. Okay, so you can see that right now all the templates are shown for all languages. But what if I want to choose a particular language? You can choose them here. Okay, they are kept in alphabetical order. Still C sharp will come on top. Okay, so you have a lot of languages. So if you are developing for all languages, you can choose which language you are developing for. Okay, let me leave it like that for a minute. Then which platform are you targeting? Okay, so you can choose specific template for a particular platform. So which platform are you targeting to develop for? You can choose that from this list. And the last one is what type of project would you like to develop for that particular platform? Okay, it can be these are the variety of technologies you can, or the project types you can develop for cloud, console, desktop, just extensions for anything, games, IoT, libraries, machine learning, mobile, office, services, tests, okay, universal Windows programming, or web programming, whatever it is. You have lots of choices available as project types. Now, all I'm going to do is right now, I'm only focused on learning C sharp, not a particular type of a project. So I'm just going to choose from the language as C sharp. So the templates will be filtered. Okay. Now, the platforms, I don't care. Any platform is fine. What type of project? I'm going to choose console for a minute because we'll start from console, then we'll go to the bigger ones because I don't want to complicate with desktop and other things immediately. So let's start with the simple console application. Now, please note, I've just filtered all the templates. I have got two templates now. Console app, both are console app if you notice there. Both are saying C sharp, but see the tags or the labels which are applied to each of them. One, let's look at the bottom one. Console, C sharp, targeting Windows. Okay, please be careful of this. That's why I kept telling from the beginning, there's a difference between .NET Framework and .NET Core. All right, see the below one, that's what is there in your syllabus, .NET Framework. Okay, a project for creating a command line application using C sharp on Windows platform, which means the app which you develop in this particular template can be created with C sharp and it will execute wherever .NET Framework is available. Be very careful. I did not say Windows. Okay, I said wherever .NET Framework is available, which is primarily Windows. That's why they have shown the tag as Windows. But when it comes to .NET Core, it's not like that. Okay, if you create a project using .NET Core, wherever you take this code, okay, wherever .NET Core is available, this program will execute, which is basically Linux, Mac, or Windows. I hope you get the difference between them. Do you feel there will be a difference in the coding structure what I write? No. So I am not going to choose .NET Framework for the console applications what we develop. I'm going to choose .NET Core. Okay, please note this is not in your syllabus. I will not be taking web applications. When we start web applications, I will not choose .NET Core because the structure is a little bit more different than .NET Framework. Okay, right now almost all applications which are legacy applications as well as currently deployed applications are still in .NET framework in web application wise. Okay, unless they are dynamically changing the environment to .NET Core, people are still working with .NET framework. So it's better to know. But right now, since it's just a console application and there's no difference in the code what I am going to write, I am going to choose .NET Core to understand C Sharp. Why? Because if I write this code right now and I can take this code to a Linux machine or a Mac machine or a Windows machine which has .NET Core in it and execute this program. Whereas if I create that same C Sharp application using .NET framework, apart from a Windows machine, it will not work anywhere. That's the only difference right now I can tell you. Okay, I'll not go into much technical part, but right now just remember this is, it can run on .NET Core on Windows, Linux as well as on Mac. Okay, let me just choose. Right now there is no difference. Remember that. Okay. So let me just choose and let's give a name. Let's go to the next one. Okay, I'm going to just say test console. And please note where it is stored. Okay, keep a reminder where it is and then click on create. Now it is going to create a C# project which is going to run if I target Windows. I did not target Windows, automatically it will target any operating system where .NET Core is structured. Okay. I guess you can see the output. I just copy pasted this into my PPT. So you can see already there is a hello world written, and let's just understand how this program works. Now, I'm going to remove this first line. I hope the code is clear to you guys. Okay, so I'm just going to open this code and keep it here for a minute. This is the code which automatically comes as soon as you create a new project in .NET Core, C#. Okay, it's a simple application. You can see all these things are available here. Now, I wanted to notice the color which is given. Okay, there is, I mean, normally IDEs help you with that. Just look at the color of the word program and color of the word console. Okay, it's a little bit different than the other colors what you see there, the blue one. Both are blue, but this is kind of somewhat like a dark ink blue. Okay, but then this is a little bit lighter version of blue. All right, anyway. And I also wanted to notice the word, the color, what they have given for main and right line. Okay, now let's break that down. Okay, so I'm going to remove this word system from here just for a minute. Okay, and here I'm going to write that same thing, the full sentence what you saw. I'm going to just put system dot. Okay, now you see, just map the colors, that's enough. All right, start with system. Okay, you told me, or in the previous slide we saw what is system. System is a namespace. Look at the word namespace on the top, test console. Okay, what is this basically? This is basically the project name. The name of the project what I gave is test console. So you see that's a package, in other words a folder name, that's all. Inside that folder you have a class called program. So the file name is program.cs. I hope that is visible to you here. The file name is program.cs. It's available inside test console / program.cs. That's what we just saw. All right. Now I wanted to see the colors. That's all. Okay. Number one, test console. Namespace test console. It's full black. System is written in black color. Console. Class color. This is the color of a class. Class program. Console's color is also the same. Main is a method. Look at the right line's color. Okay, so you can map it easily by these things. Now, this is a namespace. If you just move your mouse over, I think you can see this. I'll just zoom in for a minute. System is a namespace. Console is a class which is inside that namespace called system. Okay, and right line is inside console class, which is inside the system package or system namespace, and it returns nothing, void. Okay, because it's a method, and I pass some parameter here. That's it. Okay, so I hope this line is clear. Now let me just focus on this particular part. So you have a class, you have called program, and then you have main method inside that. This was the question from your side. This string is not a class. This was a question. Just look at it. I just moved my mouse over that word. It says class system dot string. Okay, but it is written as small s. What if I change it into capital S? Will it still work? okay, it will still work with if you put a reference. Okay, right now I will not put it because they're expecting this is a main method. You can't put it directly there as capital S, but in program you can still use it. So right now they're expecting a data type kind of a structure here. It represents text as a sequence. Okay, and this bracket, okay, this just indicates that it is a array of string. Okay, and what are these arguments called as? Technical word of this, arguments. Anyone? What are these arguments called as? Whatever you pass there is called as no, not to this one. Parameters are correct if you are telling about a normal method, but if you are passing something to a main method, that's called can you finish that statement, Riona? It's command line arguments. Okay, so anyway, correct. So it's command line arguments. Okay, this argument cannot be passed after running a program. This should be passed before running the program or as and when you run the program. I hope you know the advantages of this. I'll show that later in a class. But anyway, I just want you to remember this particular part. Okay, this is how a C# program is structured. Now, I just want you to understand how these things are written. Okay, just like how we saw this in NetBeans, if you remember, when I wrote the basic Java program. Okay, system is a namespace, which means, in other words, it's just like a package. It's like a folder. You can't see it in IDE. Okay, but console is a class. So when you move your mouse over there, okay, please note in Visual Studio, there are a lot of tools, lot of things available inside, but I'll try to explain wherever it is required, whatever is possible. Okay. So now let me just choose console and right click on it and then say go to definition. Okay. You can just use F12. All right. So if I just pause on or keep my mouse or the cursor there and then tap on F12, it will take me to that particular file. You need not bother about what is written, but just look at this. Okay, the console class has been opened. Console.cs has been opened. Okay, now you can see that namespace is system. Inside that they have created a class called console. And let me close this. Let me come back to right line and then start. I'll click on F12. Okay, it takes me to this particular part. Right line is a method. You can see all the things that they have written there. Okay, by the way, difference between right and right line. What is the difference? As you understand by print and println in Java. What is the difference between print and println in Java? What is the difference? New line. That's it. Okay. Print will print the whatever you have given as a character there and leave the cursor in the same place as you finished the previous statement. But when it comes to print ln, it prints that and brings the cursor to the next line. It's like pressing enter after typing a statement. Okay, but same thing here in right and right line. All right, so right line will just include one more space after printing whatever you have given within that bracket, and you can pass whatever you want. What is this concept, guys, called as same method but different arguments passed? What is that concept called in object-oriented programming? Please note all the method names are right line only, but what they are passing is different. Overloading, perfect. Okay, polymorphism. Great, name value. Okay. Overloading. Okay, here it is called method overloading because it's C#. Okay. Anyway, so you get the idea. Right line is a static method. Okay, I think I didn't focus on that. Right line is a static method, public static method. Okay, which is written inside a console class. Okay, you can check that it is written inside a class called console, which is in turn inside a namespace called system. Okay, this is how everything is going to be organized in C#. Whatever you pass here, that's it. Okay, so since we have another 5 minutes, I'll just try to do a simple program with respect to adding two numbers. Okay, I think we can do that quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write int a comma b comma c. All right, please note the spacing and the alignment and all C# takes care, or Visual Studio takes care, for example. All right, so first thing I'm going to ask the user is to enter. Okay, please note system, I need not use it here. Let me not use the word system again and again. For that, I'll just put using system. Okay, also you can say system dot and you can see what are the things inside that system class if you want to import anything. Right now, I don't want, I just want the word system. All right, and now I need to write just console.write. So I'll just write here, enter first number. That's it. Now, how do I take a number from the user? If write line is printing output, read line is the opposite. Okay, so let me just take it, but please understand the methods and its return types. Just notice this. I'm going to write A is equal to console dot read line. Please note there is something called read line. I want you to focus on, it's very important for you to focus on one thing. If you call read line, it just gives a small description of what read line does. It just says reads the next line of characters from the standard input stream, which means it waits for your input in your command prompt and then reads it. Please note, what does the read line return? Okay, read line method returns string. It doesn't matter you are looking for a number, it still returns a string. So I'm going to just write read line and see what the system will do for me. Okay, the system says it's not possible because what you are trying to do is take a string and store it in A, which is integer. So how do I do that? Okay, in Java, how would I do it? I'll just say parse it. Same thing I'm going to do here. Instead of calling int integer in Java, I can just call int.parse in C#. There are different ways. I'll take that in the next class. But then just for Java developers who are familiar with this is easy. Instead of writing integer, like how we wrote a wrapper class, here I don't require that. I can just call int and then say parse it into whatever the user enters, convert that into a number and store it in A. That's it. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to just copy paste this once again and I'll just say enter second number, and this time it is B. Okay, so now C is equal to A plus B. You can see the spacing and all is automatically taken care about. All right, now how do I print this? I'll just print the output. So I'll just say console.writeLine, the sum of. Okay, there are two ways to write this. There are more ways actually. Compared to Java, Java doesn't have much ways. You just need to concatenate. Same method works here also. All right, the sum of A and B is, sorry, C. This is also the, this is how you would have written in Java, but then in C# you have a little bit more formatted way. If you have seen, if you remember how I think you would have done in Python print formatted printing. Okay, so I can do the same thing here in C# with write line. Just see how I'm writing the same thing. The sum of, you can relate it to what we have done. Okay, so 0 and 1 is 2. In C programming, you would normally write %d and %d is %d. Okay, so like that I can put A comma B comma C. That's how I want it to print. Okay, so both are fine. Whichever you feel comfortable with, you can choose that. Okay, it just means the sum of, this is just a placeholder, 0, 1 and 2. 0th location, A will be replaced. First location, B will be replaced. Second location, C will be replaced. That's it. Okay, you can choose any one. Either one would still work. That's it. Okay, so let me run the program. You'll get the output 2 times, but still, let's just check it. Okay, please note when I run this project, it will both generate an exe as well as a DLL. In the first thing when I showed you, please note where the cursor is when I wrote enter first number. Okay, I wrote write line enter first number. So the cursor came to the next line and is waiting for the next line of code. The next line of code is to pass whatever I'm entering. So let me just enter a number and let's look for the second number. I'll add one more number. Okay, so here you see that both the output is the same, but different syntaxes I've used. I think I've forgotten to give a space here, that's all. But anyway, idea is still the same. Okay. I think with this, we'll stop for today. I just want, if at all you have installed Visual Studio already, just try writing some simple programs in C#. Okay, same logic as what you have learned so far. Okay. With this, I'll conclude, guys. I'll stop the presentation now. Please wait till I take attendance.